Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Hart, and today I'll be breaking down the 10-game NBA slates we have here on DraftKings for Tuesday night. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Hart. I do daily slate breakdowns for the NBA and NFL, where I talk about my favorite spin-up plays, mid-range options, and value plays. And then I go more in depth in my free Patreon link down below, where I do my NBA and NFL write-up. So check that out. It's free. Hit that like button and subscribe, and turn that notification bell. Hitting that like button really does help out my channel, so if you could do that for me, that'd be great. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the slate breakdown. Before I get into the breakdown and a look back at my lineup from last night, I just want to say follow me on Twitter at HartDFS. I want to see any questions you guys have. Talk DFS. Put up my core plays, my free Patreon, my price pick plays. LaMelo sold so hard yesterday. It's super frustrating. He only needed 3 assists in the second half. He only got 2, so I missed 0.5. So instead of having a very, very, very good night last night, winning like $150, only won like 50 or so, 60, which isn't bad. Don't mind that. With some 2-pick entries. So yeah, it was a solid day. Could have been great if LaMelo didn't just sell the bag completely. But yeah, going into my lineup from last night, a great day on DraftKings. The core plays, if you guys saw them on my Twitter, did very, very well. As you can see, Lowry had 40, Paul George is 62, Najee 38, Ben Simmons 33, Hayes 35, Russell 27, Anthony Edwards 51, and Orlando Robinson with 35. So once we got that news that Jimmy Butler was out, really like Kyle Lowry at his price tag, so I went with him there. Paul George against Detroit, obviously it helped that game went into overtime, but he was a very, very solid play there. Going against Detroit, OT helped, but he got to 62. Najee, even in a blowout, was very, very productive. Ben Simmons was frustrating, 3.2% owned, pretty cheap price tag. Saw the minutes. He got 15 fancy points, I think, in that first quarter, and then did really nothing the second half. So that was a little bit frustrating. Him and D'Lo are what kept me from a takedown, because I was on track to take down this tournament for $1,000 to first. I was in the top 5 pretty much the whole day until the last game started, and I kind of fell to 44th place, but only 30 points off of first place. So yeah, Ben Simmons and D'Lo screwed me, but Jackson Hayes was very solid. D'Lo, only like the second time I played him all season. Of course, he's super low owned, and he just does absolutely nothing. Anthony Edwards was great there. And then Orlando Robinson, I know a lot of the DFS space was kind of annoyed with that Orlando Robinson. I thought he's a good play. The reason why is the front court for Miami, there was no one. There was no one they had left with all those guys ruled out. It was Jovic who was starting and Orlando Robinson. Now, if Orlando Robinson was like 35, 40% owned, Jovic was 5%, then Orlando Robinson would be a terrible play. But, 28%, I think Jovic was like 5%. Even though Orlando Robinson was coming off the bench, they really had no one to guard Joker besides Jovic and Orlando. So knew Orlando was going to see solid minutes off the bench. I stuck with them. An okay ownership percent. And he was very productive. Obviously, you can't expect that. He was like a baby Jokic while he's out there. I think he put up like 10, 6, and 2 in his first shift in like 8 to 10 minutes. So he was super, super good in that. That really helped out. But yeah, he was a solid play still without starting. So I went with him. It worked out. And yeah, almost got a takedown. Was top 5 the whole night until that last game. But yeah, looking to continue that into tonight. First game, Lakers and Orlando. Lakers side, the only interest I really have is going to be in LeBron and Russ. And Russ is a little bit riskier just because the minutes haven't been great for him recently. I'm not really sure why. He's been super productive. It's just the minutes have been capped. So he's a little bit risky, but I do like him there at 7,200. We know he has triple-double upside. LeBron is going to be LeBron. And then the rest of the team, more of secondary plays. Thomas Bryant's the best secondary play at 5,900. He got his minutes cut short in that last game. I should see, mid-20s, close to 30. So don't mind him. And then the other secondary plays, sure, you can get to him like Alani, Schroeder, Reeves, and Bev. But yeah, no real interest besides Russ and LeBron for me. For Orlando, with Wendell back, it really hurts the ceiling of a guy like Paolo. It even hurts the ceiling of guys like Franz. So there's no real interest for me. Franz, sure, you can go to him that price tag. Don't mind it. Paolo does have some upside there at 8,100. Wendell's still on a minutes limit, so I don't think you need to go there. Sure, Fultz has a ceiling, and it seems like every other game he's having like a ceiling game. But at that price tag, I don't think there's a real need to get to him. Bobo's there. Really the only interest I have is Cole Anthony at 5,000. Now, he did see extended minutes because he was playing super, super well in that last game, and it was a blowout. But he should see at least 20 off the bench. He's been productive when he's out there, so I don't mind taking a shot on him at 5,000. That's really my only interest in Orlando. Moving on to Philadelphia. Embiid, Harden are very, very solid plays here in this matchup. I'd give the edge slightly to Embiid, even though he's a little bit cheaper, or excuse me, a little bit more expensive. He's just been unreal when it comes to scoring the past month, so I like riding the hot streak with him. And Harden's just playing a ton of minutes, 41, 43, so yeah, I mean, they both look great. You can definitely play them together. Harden's been getting a ton of assists recently, 2 straight double-doubles and assists, with one of them being a triple-double, so they look great in this matchup. Really like both of them. Maxi's almost back, but not back yet. And then the secondary plays like a Harris Melton. You can definitely get some. Don't mind it, but I really just prefer the top 2 guys. And then the value plays on this team are going to be Melton, Niang. For Washington, not a lot of interest for me in this Washington side right now. I mean, sure, Porzingis has upside. His price tag's okay. Don't love the price tag on Kuzma and Beal. Maybe my favorite play at that price tag, but they do seem to have like limited ceilings when they're all 3 of them are playing together. Porzingis might be the standout of the 3, but yeah, not a lot of interest in this team. And with like the guard situation, DeLon Wright is back, so 15 minutes. He should be limited once again. He's productive, but he's just not seen the minutes yet because of that minutes limit, and it takes the ceiling of Morris and Goodwin kind of out of place. So no real interest. Maybe if Gafford slides in the starting lineup to help out with Embiid, sure, maybe you can go to Porzingis. He looked decent, but yeah, not a lot of interest in that Washington side. Moving on to Houston. I mean, this could be a good game to get some pieces from because of the potential blowouts. Now, it's a 14.5-point spread, and that blowout risk, it's going to lead a lot of people to not wanting to roster anyone on Houston or even Boston because of that blowout risk. So, depending on the ownership, you could definitely get some pieces from this game, be contrarian, and if it stays close, it could really, really help you out. So, that being said, I do think these Houston guys are a little bit too cheap. All 3 of the guys at the top are coming off a very solid game. Even Jabari Smith as well, 34, 45 before that. So I like all 4. If my favorites out of the 4 would probably be KPJ and Smith at the price tags. But yeah, all 4 look very, very solid. It just, if this game stays close, you really need it to. KJ, Eason, decent value plays off the bench. Eric Gordon just got ruled out, so they should see a decent amount of run. If this game blows out, maybe Eason sneaks into like mid-20s minutes. He's productive, so 3,800, you can definitely take a dart throw on him. Boston, I mean, as I said, it just comes down to if you think this game stays close. If it does, Tatum looks fantastic there, 10-4. Brown, don't love the price tag, but he's been productive. And then the secondary plays like a Smart, Brogdon, Horford, they all look really, really solid. Williams, if he plays, don't mind getting to him, but he's been limited, and he's now questionable. So if he's out, it does help the ceiling of a guy like Horford and a guy like Grant Williams there. Derek White started. He was productive last game, but yeah, it really just depends on the kind of the starting lineup and if you think this game is going to stay close. On to the Clippers and the Raptors. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard is going to be questionable. If he's in, I really like him. Prefer him over Paul George. If he's out, and with John Wall being out, Paul George becomes another almost lock, I'd say. And then the secondary plays like a Jackson, a Powell, even a Zubac, they all look really good. Zubac is very, very cheap there at 4,600. Luke Kennard, very solid value play, even though he's scoring depending off the bench. So yeah, a lot of interest in this Clipper side, depending on like Kawhi Leonard news. Moving on to Toronto, it's only going to be Siakam and Van Fleet for me. They're seeing huge minutes. They're going to lead the team in terms of usage. Sure, you can get to a Scotty, OG, Gary Trent, Boucher if you want. The minutes haven't been great. Precious is potentially back as well. So it's really just going to be the top 2 guys for me, and that's really it. Atlanta and Indiana, this is where I like to start getting some plays from. So for the Atlanta side, really like DeJounte Murray there at 8,300. The cheapest price tag, we're going to get him all season, and he's been all season so far. We know he has huge upside, so I like him in this matchup at that price tag. Should probably be popular, but we'll have to see on the ownership. Trae Young still looks very, very good there as well. And the rest of the teams, more just secondary plays depending on how they throw out the starting lineup. Now, if they start like John Collins and bring Okongwu off the bench and slide to like one of these other wings into the starting lineup, really like John Collins as like a center play at 5,400. He looked pretty solid. But if they start Okongwu alongside Collins still a secondary play for me, and Okongwu is as well. Bogdan should see solid minutes off the bench. So just not a lot of interest besides the top 2 guards for me. On Indiana, I love Halliburton there at that price tag. That's just way too cheap at 9,000. He's coming off a poor shooting game, but should see the minutes. I mean, we know he's huge upside. He had a career game before that in terms of scoring. So at 9,000, very, very cheap price tag for Halliburton. So I really, really like him at that price tag as a nice little bring back with your DeJounte Murray. And I do like Turner a good amount at 6,300. It's just, he should see 30-ish, maybe 35 minutes if the game's close. That's just the problem is the games haven't been close. He's foul prone at time, but 6,300, he's a huge, huge ceiling. So I do like him right now as a very solid play here going against Atlanta, which should be, a pretty fast pace, pretty high scoring game. And the rest of the Indiana guys, they're just more secondary plays for me. No real interest in any of these guys right now. And then moving on to San Antonio and OKC. For the San Antonio side, Keldon Johnson, Vassell, they both look a little bit too cheap there at their price tags. I like getting into Johnson just because he's a little bit safer with the peripheral stats, but I think they both look great here against OKC. Trey Jones, more of a secondary play for me, and same thing with the rest of the team. Just more secondary plays. Like Podol, his price tag would look great. It's just the minutes have not been there. So if you want to take the shot on him in hope that he gets close to 30 minutes in his normal minute mark, which he hasn't seen since his injury, he'd be a great play. But it's just the minutes are a huge question mark with him. And then I'm not really sure why, but Jeremy Sohan is like floating around 45% ownership right now, which sure the minutes have been there and he's been super, super productive, but like 4,100, it's a solid price tag, but I don't know. It just seems a little crazy to get to him at, 4,100. He's shown upside. It's just he's not the most consistent. They do have their whole team back, which definitely hurts his ceiling. So I don't know. I just at that ownership don't think it's a need to get to him there. OKC side, really, it's only going to be Giddey for me. You can get to, it's really only going to be SGA for me. You can get to Giddey, but his upside is definitely a little bit limited alongside SGA. But yeah, it's really just going to be SGA for me. Dort's price seems a little bit too cheap. Same thing with, Williams is there, Poke is there, Kenrich is there. JRE might be back. If he does, that hurts Poku's upside. So it sucks seeing OKC in every slate because they're just the most frustrating lineup to roster. And that's why I really only stick with SGA. Moving on to the last few games, Phoenix. A lot of value is going to come from Phoenix. We got Chris Paul, 8,000. He looks like a very solid play. Another game where you just really hope it stays close because if it does, these guys in these plays should work out. Like Chris Paul, 8,000 looks solid. Like Ayton, a good amount there at 7,500. He has huge upside. He's been, very, very aggressive the past month and a half. So I like him at that price tag. Mikal Bridges, even though he's been terrible chalk, he should have some decent upside. He should see a ton of minutes. And then they're going to need guys to step up, like a Craig. They'll probably slot in Damian Lee. So guys off the bench will be like Biyombo, Okogie, Dwayne Washington. He's been productive at 3,000, in the minutes. So I do like Dwayne Washington as like a random value play for today. You could definitely take a shot on Okogie as well. Or you could get to like a Damian Lee, which his minutes are a little bit more secure. But yeah, they're going to be heavily reliant on their starters and some of the guys off the bench. So really, really like going to Washington as a value play because if it blows out, it helps him. If it stays close, he should see close to 15 minutes, maybe even a little bit more. And he's going to be aggressive when he's out there. So the flat minimum price tag, I do like him a good amount there. And then, yeah, I do like Ayton a good amount as well. So we'll move Washington into the guard spot just to help fit in some more people. And then let's see here. On the Memphis side, I love Ja at 10-3. He looks fantastic at that price tag in this matchup. Once again, just hope it stays close. Bane, minutes limit. Don't think you need to go there. Jaren Jackson Jr., super frustrating. I roster him in a fantastic matchup against Golden State. 3 fouls in less than 1 minute of playing time over the course of 2 quarters. How's that possible? But yeah, I mean, we know he has massive upside. It's just if he can stay out of foul trouble and get those blocks and steals. So that's really it. Steven Adams, always a tournament option. Should match up with DeAndre in and see close to 30 minutes. But yeah, it's really just Ja for me. Tournament option, Triple J, and Steven Adams. Moving on to New York and Dallas. New York, they're running a ton of minutes. The big news is going to be Brunson. So if he's in, I do like Randall and Brunson a good amount. If he's out, Barrett, he sees more of a playmaking role at 7,500. He looked very solid Robinson, the news obviously doesn't affect him, but we've seen a huge ceiling. He had a great game against Embiid last game, which is surprising. But yeah, I mean, if he's going to play 30 minutes, he looks way too cheap there at 5,300. Not going to be the most productive, but he definitely has a ceiling. Grimes, decent value play. If Brunson is out, quickly could start. He looks very, very solid there at 4,700. So that's kind of the big news on New York. Dallas, they're just running their starters a ton of minutes. So Luka looks very good if you can get up to him. Same thing with Wood. I like him a good amount there at 7,700. Dinwiddie, he's seen a ton of minutes, just hasn't been productive recently. But yeah, the minutes are just insane on these Dallas guys right now because a lot of guys are hurt. Hardaway, score independent, just more of a secondary play for me. I'd rather get to the top 3 guys. Bullock, he's seen decent minutes. He's been productive in that last game, but it's really just the top 3 guys for me. I don't think you need to take a shot in any of the value guys. Charlotte and Golden State, great game environment here. LaMelo looks fantastic. The rest of the guys are just more secondary plays. Oubre's minutes have come down a little bit. Rozier, same thing. He's coming off a terrible game yesterday. 37 minutes, 2 of 17. So if you want to buy low on him, sure you can. Coming off that terrible shooting performance, probably his worst shooting performance of his career. Nick Richards was out, so it did help guys like Washington and Plumlee in terms of their minutes. If he's back, it does hurt their ceiling a little bit, but I still like PJ at that price tag. 2 very solid games back to back. If you can stay out of foul trouble, he's decently productive. So at 5,200, probably my second favorite play alongside LaMelo. Golden State, Poole, going to once again lead the team, 8,200. Clay, I think they're my 2 favorite plays, great tournament options. The rest of the team, just more secondary plays with like a DiVincenzo. Green is probable. No real need to get to anyone else besides Poole and Thompson for me. And then the last game, Jokic at 11.4. He's just been unreal the past month. That's just, the only way you can put it. So I'd like him here. You really want to target Sacramento. So I love Jokic. Jamal Murray, more of a secondary play for me, even though he's been great. He's seen a ton of minutes recently. So sure, you can go to him at 7,100. He is offering very, very solid upside. And then secondary plays, Gordon, Porter, Bruce Brown. Sure, you can get to them. They're seeing solid minutes, but it's really just going to be Jokic for me. And if you want a different piece, probably Jamal Murray. I don't know why I'm saying DeJounte, but yeah, Jamal Murray. And then moving on to Sacramento, the big news is Sabonis. Maybe that thumb is messing with him. I don't think I'm going to take a shot there. He's a solid contrarian spin-up play, 10-2, just because of the matchup. He's very foul-prone, but he's been super, super productive recently, especially with the rebounds. So at 10-2, don't mind him. I just don't think he's in play for me. He should give it a go today, so we'll see how that goes with the thumb injury. But yeah, with him most likely in, it's really just going to be him for me. You could take a shot on Fox. He's been productive recently, but Herter is always a tournament option. Same thing with Barnes and Murray. I think Monk would probably be my second favorite play alongside Sabonis. As a solid tournament option. But that's really it. It's really just kind of the top 2 guys and a Monk for me on Sacramento. Now to finish out this lineup, 4,000 left over. So let's go to the Suns real quick and we'll just throw in a Josh Okogie for right now. And then we'll go to power forward. Left with 4,000, so not a lot. So sure, let's just get risky for the sake of this video with this lineup. Obviously, it's a mock lineup. We'll have to wait for the rest of the news. But yeah, we'll throw in Tari Eason because, he should see 15 to 20 minutes in a normal game. He's productive. If the game blows out, he should see more. So we'll just leave him in there for now. Once again, this is a mock lineup. So we'll have to wait on the rest of the news for the rest of the day to see how, we kind of want to shape this lineup. And then we'll finish it with, we can go to Kenrich Williams, Hachimura, Grant Williams is there. So just okay plays, but if we want to be chalk donkeys, we can go to Jeremy Sohan right now. We'll just throw him in there for the sake of the video. And yeah, that's the lineup. You get DeJounte, you get Tyrese, you get Miles Turner in a solid spot, and then you get Jokic. Obviously, you're very reliant on the value plays, but yeah, there should be decent value plays. I'm sure more will open up for the rest of the day. And the kind of the core build of the lineup will change. So make sure to follow me on Twitter to stay updated with that. So you can see my core plays and my free Patreon as well. I'll be putting up the core plays and a write-up on that. So stay tuned, hit that like button. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.